Working Class on DeerCast. It is episode 100 of the Working Class on DeerCast series. Thank you for supporting this here on DeerCast. If you're not watching on DeerCast, what are you doing? All the complaining about social medias and anti-hunters and all this, DeerCast is where your people are. I hope you're there supporting us there. Comment, tell us what you think about this episode. We're going to have some fun. We're switching it up this week on this special 100th anniversary edition of the podcast. Curt Geyer speaking, and my beautiful, attractive wife, Samantha Geyer, is also here on the show.
Hello, everyone.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling okay.
Nervous?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, you'll be fine. To my left, well, ladies first, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I called you Mister on the
last
podcast.
time I was a
this
man.
is because I see you as one of the boys.
I appreciate that.
Is it a compliment?
Yeah.
One of the boys.
Yeah.
Mr. Rachael Bushak.
How's it going?
Good to see you.
You too?
The real Mister of the relationship, Andy Handy Bushak.
There you go.
Andy.
Handy Andy.
It's Rachel's dad calls me.
Mustache is looking on point.
Thank you.
Moving down the table, Mrs. Drew Morris.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
So soft-spoken and sweet.
Yeah.
And Mr. Nick Morris.
I tamed the line.
Well, thanks for coming back. You were on, well, that whole side of the table has been on fairly recently. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys for doing this episode. So I'll be honest. Let me lay out how this episode was going to go. It was going to just be a one-on-one with Samantha and I. And I was going to let her tear into me as much as she publicly and confidently felt okay with. And then it turned out like you guys are on your way out west for elk and mule deer hunt. And we're going to stay at the studio anyway because we're good friends and we offer the studio up as like a hostel, not a brothel. A hostel.
Don't mistake
There's
the
a
two.
difference.
Don't mistake the two. And so I was like, well, why don't you guys do the podcast? And then Sam's like, hey, you should invite our other great friends who are also a couple in this hunting affair relationship. And I was like, you guys got a far drive. You're going to be here anyway. I'm like, I'll text Nick. And you're like, yeah, we'll be there. And I'm like, all right, bitching, let's do this.
Very last minute.
So here we are. So this is a true couples working class on DeerCast 100th edition. And my goal is to get the ladies comfortable enough to where we can kind of talk through some issues, talk through some real life complications when it comes to being married to passionate hunters, guys who are obsessed with the whole process. Now, the wild card is Rachael here because Rachael is just as much as a hunter as her husband, I'd say. Right, Andy?
Maybe better.
Whoa, well, don't do that already. Hey, listen. Don't
Brownie
Wow.
points.
Okay, listen, don't kiss too much or just go like 4 minutes into this, Andy.
Sorry.
That's going to backfire on you.
Ruining the vibe.
Yep.
Brown noser.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble coming with 4.
What a sucker, right, Nick? So, that's where we're at with it. Like, I want this to be a full-blown... I want guys to be like, honey, you got to listen to this. And maybe we'll get there. It's a challenge, especially for people who don't podcast that often, which I'm looking at Drew and Samantha here for this, because you guys don't. You guys aren't ever on the show. And it's weird, right? Like, you're being forced to talk in front of a mic on camera, and it's easy to get, like, locked up. I get it. So, that being said, I might lean on Rachael here to break the ice of conversation. But I think we need to talk about, like, where are the issues in a relationship with someone who's passionate about hunting or wants to dedicate time in hunting? Is that a fair place to probably start with it?
Such a loaded question.
It's a loaded question,
Yeah.
and we need to unpack it. And that's probably where it starts. And there we can kind of dive in to side shot conversations and all the stuff we're going to get into. We might get a little more lax with this episode because we're celebrating on this 100th episode. So anybody listening, I tried to mark this episode clean, but if not, sorry, you just got to understand. Be cool about it. Don't leave us a shitty review. Go somewhere else. So that being said, let's unpack some things, shall we? This is a therapy session. Hey, Rachael.
So,
You hunt, so you don't probably have as many gripes as a non-hunter wife.
I do, but I don't. I would say, well,
It's not all gravy, I can imagine.
Right, it's not. So one thing I will say, we don't have kids yet, so that makes things a little easier, right? But I still feel like the womanly obligations, and not just obligations, but like I like cooking and cleaning and, you know, keeping a nice house. And it's really hard to do when you want to hunt all the time and you're working, you know. So I think my gripes come with like things get real messy during deer season, and I like things tidy.
Very tidy.
So it's a lot. Like
How tidy.
Very tidy. Very tidy.
I've learned to.
I broke her down.
Yeah,
and she's
I've learned to
not-
not obsess so much about things being clean, but like it's a lot to, you know, hunt mornings, certain times of year, you know, when you can, go to work, hunt afternoons, try to cook dinner, try to keep the house clean, try to get some sleep, try to exercise, try to, you know, grocery shop, like, and I think one big unpopular opinion, and I think everyone in Pennsylvania is going to hate me for saying this, is I'm kind of thankful we can't hunt Sundays because that's the only day I can get things done. Look, I wish I could hunt Sundays. I would. But then, like, we would be eating.
A lot of
So
straight looks
disappointed.
from Handy Andy over there.
I disagree with that.
We wouldn't eat other than like frozen pizza if we had to hunt Sundays, or we could
For a couple months a year,
Yeah.
I think we'd be fine.
Yeah,
Okay, I can hear.
it's a lot.
Andy.
Yeah, I wish we could hunt Sundays because I think that's the stupidest rule in the entire world.
That is dumb. That is very dumb.
On a Sunday.
So give me some feedback on this like tidy house thing, like where you, because I feel like
Okay,
you guys,
when
that's
I-
a disagreement
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah.
When I go into hunting mode, it's like that's what I'm into. I'm into hunting, and if I come into the house and my boots are thrown in front of the door, you know, and just I'm gonna get them tomorrow. What's the big deal?
You're putting them back
But-
on?
Yes, but Rachel doesn't go for that sort of stuff. You know,
Okay.
we have to fold our towels when we're done, and we don't put a wet towel on the back of the chair. You know, I mean, we just have so many rules around the house on hunting season that sometimes it gets tough. Kurt. I was like,
What's up
I
with the
just want-
rules, Rachel?
I just want to kill a buck. You know, I don't
Okay.
want to have to worry about stuff in the house, and it's
We're getting
not
into the good
terrible,
stuff.
but it's
We jumped right in.
you know, it's give and take. So you know,
Okay.
I mean, she works harder than me. We'll come right out and say it. So sometimes it does rely on me having to do more things around the house come hunting season, and I'm okay with that because my biggest problem is my wife hunts too much. Okay, that's a pretty bad problem to have. Okay,
Yeah.
you know,
This is your year, Andy.
exactly. Thank you. I want it to be my year, and
I wanted to be here.
yeah, and it's also the very nice part is, you know, I want her to do very well. She wants me to do very well. It's what we want for each other. But
Right.
you know,
I think
we
it would
take
be-
care of each other.
I think it would be a lot different because we're the only ones in the room that don't have kids. I think it'd be a lot different if we didn't. If we
Not
had
from
kids.
a lack of
'cause-
practice, just it hasn't happened yet.
Well, so this is the interesting dynamic
Be
because
clear.
yeah,
Yeah.
no kids, young kids, more grown kids on this on
Yeah.
that end. So we have like a good dynamic to talk about with that. So wherever we want to go from that, because
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to be doing loops.
Yeah.
here.
Well, I think like to speak of relationships, not that I'm a psychologist or anything like that. In fact, it's the only class I ever got a C in. So don't listen to me.
Yeah, don't tell me shit about how I'm
But
acting.
there's some there's some foundational bullet points in a relationship like trust and communication that you and I are lucky enough to have developed over time, and not all people have that, and that ties right back into
That's a really
hunting.
good point.
Like if you were in a tree stand in the evening and I never heard from you, and then you went to the bar and I never heard from you, and I went to sleep, you know, like it would change the way that I feel about you hunting.
That's a
drastically.
really good point that probably needs to be addressed. I didn't even think about that point.
No,
I
I
think
never
all of us here are probably we're all past that, obviously. But there's a lot of relationships that
I would
are
say
not.
majority of people are, not to
Yeah,
that
you know
point. And
what?
not that we're better or worse than others. It's
just the dynamic of
something
where we're
to
at.
observe. Yeah.
Like when I say I'm going hunting, I'm actually hunting. I'm not at the bar with the boys playing pool and hitting on side pieces, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a fair point. Like I don't, and I'm probably making this point too early, but let's unpack this. There's no direction. We're just going for it. We're freestyling. My argument to it is too, and what I tell other guys like at trade shows, like I have a lot of relationship conversations at trade shows. That's where the most of our face-to-face interaction happens with people who listen to the show. I always say is like, I don't watch football. go to sports. I don't go to the bar during the week. I mean, the podcast is the only exception once a week, but I'm here and I'm right down the road. And obviously if I didn't do this, I wouldn't have a job. So, I'm working. So there's things that I do now. Hunting season has come full circle, and this is where we unpack. It's like, I'm never not doing anything for deer. So I get the give and take. Like, it's got to be exhausting, but when I tell you what I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I don't think everybody can trust that all the time.
Do you guys, Drew and Nick, do you guys have any fill in on that?
Yeah, I do. When me and Nick were first dating, the first thing he said to me, probably on our first date, was, "You need to know that I'm a huge fisherman and I love to hunt." And he was very
transparent about
that. Of course, I had no idea what he was talking about because I wasn't raised around that kind of lifestyle.
She was a city girl.
I was say I was a city girl, but I was a city girl.
Greenville, South Carolina girl.
I was a city girl.
Yeah.
Not raised around hunting and fishing and stuff. And so the beauty in that, I remember that resonating with me, like being like, okay, well, what is this going to look like? Like, I don't even really know this life. And so he is always stuck to that, very passionate about hunting and fishing. And, he told me that from the get-go, that was very important to him. And it's always just been, we're going to live this lifestyle. And so I've never tried to.
No, she's never.
Alter it, yeah.
Yeah, she's always been supportive even when she didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's seen the genuine side of it, I would say, and just knew that it was wholesome.
Yeah.
I had a lot of buddies that would go hunting to get away from their significant others.
And I don't feel like
literally was just trying to kill a deer. So I would avoid I would avoid that camp. I'd be out in the middle of Kansas by myself, like with no cell signal, trying to send her a text like, I'm alive. But,
Yeah.
And she was always supportive of it. And she never once tried to, sway me from, she just saw what I really loved and she wanted to support it, even though she didn't understand it.
And we talked about on the way over here, I don't think there's ever been a time where I've really been like, I don't really like that you are always wanting to go hunt in the fall and fish in the spring, and in the summer you're spending time getting ready for hunting season. Like, I just feel like I've always been very supportive of that. And number one was he told me that was very important to him in the beginning, and I just kind of latched onto that and have learned how to be a part of that and support that.
Yeah, she always just wanted to be included.
Yes.
So Drew is not necessarily a hunter. She has done it. She's taken a few deer. She's got a monster 3-point that we display proudly.
Nice.
See it.
Rightfully so.
See it.
Killed behind Granny's house in Alabama. But anyway,
Sure was.
she tested the waters early and decided that she didn't like, not necessarily didn't like, but that didn't really line up with her. She wanted to be around it. She enjoyed the atmosphere of hunting.
Yeah, the lifestyle that it provided.
The lifestyle that provided. She prepares anything we bring her that we kill, she'll cook it. She enjoys that side of it, similar to our oldest daughter, Kaylin. But she didn't really want to participate in the partaking of it. In fact, she pretended that there was one time she pretended that she would want to like it.
I gave it my best effort.
You did too. Sam's did the same exact thing.
So she was going to help me clean a deer one time this was in South Carolina. Drew's from South Carolina, so we settled there to begin with. But I had taken a doe on some public ground, and she was all about it. She's like, "Oh, I want to help you," and she started helping me in the first 20 seconds, started dry heaving, and I'm like, "Babe, just go in the house." She's like, she said, "I'll be in the house."
Yeah.
And she's never tried to help since then. So she's always been supportive, but not necessarily participating.
Yeah. And that's all you can ask for sometimes.
Yep.
Like that's just as good.
Well, I'm just blown away at, like, this is honestly what he loves to do. There is nothing he's trying to do otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been together 18 years, and he's always just been incredibly passionate about hunting and fishing. I've never doubted or not trusted what you were doing or where you were going or what you were really up to, because I just knew how much he loved it,
Yeah, well, your statement, you said, how'd you word it? You said, I wasn't hunting to get away from my wife. Mm-hmm. So you avoided those camps. You were actually hunting to kill a deer.
Yeah.
And that right there is like, I think as guys listening to this, you're going to send this to your wives probably. That's a question you got to consider, because if you're hunting to get away from your wife, this podcast will backfire on you probably.
But here's the thing. Before everyone's like, oh, your wife's just super cool, dude. Like, you're just so lucky. Like,
yeah, that's a common thing that gets said.
But it is hard. Like,
yeah, it's not easy street for you guys.
No, and I mean, while I always support you and whatever, like, I'm not always really interested in talking about deer. You know, I'm not.
I want to talk about.
And I listen, and I try to get, I try to get interested, and sometimes I am. Mm-hmm. Like, I do get interested, but other times when I'm chasing two toddlers around and they're talking to me and they're crying and one needs a snack.
I'm telling her about a G2.
And he's like, babe, look at this buck. And I'm like, dude, I don't have time for
Yeah.
So
care.
it's not always, and it's hard, obviously, with our small children. Like,
yeah, young kids make everything
love
hard.
when you're doing what you love, and I love that you're passionate and all the things. I'm also supportive, but it's, come November, it's like, whew, I've been home.
Late October, November is a tough run
with
for
the
you.
kiddos, and and I remember come this year, I'm like, oh, I don't want it to be winter, but I remember every year I'm like, oh, it'll get darker soon, and he'll be home for dinner, you know. So before you go saying like, well, whatever, she just doesn't care, and it's like, well, no, I do care, but I also support, and I love that you're passionate about things. Curt and I have very different hobbies. Mm-hmm. And we're both very supportive of that. Whereas other couples, you guys are a good example, have the same hobby. You guys do everything together. So it differs a lot. Like, I lived abroad for several years during our relationship. That's what I love to do. And he was always supportive. So every relationship, it differs.
Like, they go same thing. It did suck.
Sure.
Especially too, because we were a younger relationship at the time. So we didn't have like those, like, we had roots, but it wasn't like deep roots now.
Yeah.
Like, it's different. Same thing, but different.
Yeah.
Like,
we were much younger. Yeah.
We were just younger, There's all like, now it's like, you're my chick forever. We know that. Like, we're good. We're happy. We're confident. Like, and that was there too, but it's like, it's always getting better from there, if that makes sense. But,
and while Curt and I have like an agreement with hunting and all the things that come with it, which is a lot with the podcast.
It's a lot. I get it.
We're always, I lost my train of thought, but we're always, in support of each other's.
I'm not going to lie to you though. Like, that being said, it's like, I kind of feel like this is going to sound really messed up, but hear me out. I might regret saying this. I feel like the older
scared.
I get, that I have like kind of a mental disability of some kind with my like obsession, or like, I feel like lately I've been over analytical on how my brain functions about things I'm into and how I thought process on them. And I feel like I have some sort of like, disability is probably the wrong term. Obsession, but it's like, it almost rewires my thinking so much that I can't do anything else. And it almost like hinders me from like being in reality, because I'm so deep in thought about what I'm passionate about that it's hard for me to like break out of it. And I feel like a lot of times I'll be talking to people and I'm there and I'm listening, but I'm not there. And I feel like that affects more things in my life lately. I don't know what it is. Does that make sense? Kind of like, I feel like I'm so into deer. I'm focused on deer hunting. I'm thinking about all the things I have to do.
Phone goes ding, and I'm in the middle of a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I can be talking to somebody and I'm thinking about the deer or the move I got to make to kill the deer and all this stuff. And I'm in there and I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm not really. And I'm in my head and I'm almost like, that sounds messed up maybe. But you get what I'm saying? Kind of like,
I feel like that's a blessing in disguise.
Maybe,
because
but I feel
some
like
people,
it hinders relationships because I'm like in another planet.
It does it because some people are only passionate about drinking and going to the bars.
Okay, yeah, it's a good trade-off.
Some people, are passionate about running. I mean,
yeah.
And the runners that I know are really freaking obsessed with it, as you are, So, in my opinion, I mean, having that passion's probably beats others.
Maybe he's calling it a mental disability. Is not
I like to
scratch that.
Yeah, like passionate to like a point of fault, I guess. But like I always thought, like, when am I going to get burnt out on hunting? Like, will that day ever come? And it just will never come, and I'm okay with that. But it's like, I had this conversation with one of my best friends, Tyler Ingham, was at the place, and I'm like painting tree stands. It's like, I like wondering, like, a couple years into you doing this, like, how, like, if your passion would simmer. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm like more obsessed now than I've ever been. And it just keeps getting deeper. But I don't know. What do you think? Nick, give me something.
Well,
Put him on the spot.
I felt like I was talking for too long, so
I got something for you. So when your passion starts to waver, you'll pick it up with your kids.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
Yeah. So mine, I didn't get bored with it, but like I got to re-experience it and watch my kids experience it as new hunters, and that refueled my passion for it. So I don't think your passion will ever waver. I mean, there's always different ways to express it and experience it. And like for me, it's not so much the killing part anymore. It's like helping other people enjoy it. So
it changes a little bit and morphs over time.
I think too, it's like as my kids get older, it'll slowly morph into like, all right, I've done this. Mm-hmm. I want to watch them do it, But
that's something I've noticed with Nick is it's like a whole new level of hunting and fishing, because I just watch him do it with the kids, and it's almost like a more enhanced experience, especially from the outside looking in, because I'm not as into it as they are, but just watching this whole new level be unlocked of these experiences that he's having.
Well, yeah, and I don't do it. I take them to do it, and then I watch them do it, and I get more joy out of that than when I did it.
Yeah.
But also now that my kids are getting older, like Mason's getting older now I have to hunt with him, so now I'm getting back into it myself, whereas before I was the Sherpa, I just carried the snacks and the
snacks,
blind, the hot chocolate.
Let the goat in.
Right, Dad, you
the
forgot.
llamas or whatever, I don't know what the Sherpa's like.
Yeah, you forgot the heater, Dad. Go back to the truck and get the heater.
That happened several times.
Yeah, that did happen. So, there's not enough lifetime to run out of passion for it, I don't think. So I think
Great perspective.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that makes me feel real good. But all right, let's go back to some of the issues, right? Like, I think the issues are important to attack.
I want to go back to the trust and communication thing, because I think that it's not just in defense of all the men out there that are making their girlfriends or wives listen to this. It's not always that I think people don't trust that you're not where you're supposed to be. It's also like could be dangerous, right? Like, I just want to know, like, if I don't hear from Andy a half hour after dark, I'm like, are you alive? Like, did you fall out of your tree stand?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Do you need help? Like, it's just simple communication like that. And I think that, again, outside of deer season, like, yes, I hunt and everything, and I'm passionate about that, and I'm very understanding. Like, I'm never going to tell him, no, don't go hunting. But it's also because outside of deer season, he does put in a lot of effort to, let's go on a date, let's go do this, let's do, you still have to, like, I have a honey-do list, and you got to get that done before deer season starts,
Curt's very cognizant of that as well. Like, come October, he's always like, all right,
what is that?
And we get to finally have
Go get it. You're good.
Have a date of some sort.
I try to do that.
I mean, it's not always easy. Or if it's like, you've gotten better, I will say, over the years. Not that this is good or bad again, but
let me have it, girl.
With DeerCast, if it's a poor day to hunt, usually you'd be out there. It doesn't matter. If you can figure it out, you'll figure it out.
It laxes me a little bit more.
But it helps you to be like, you know what?
Look at that
I've been
plug
hunting.
you just did. That's a
well,
good
you really
point.
do use it. I'm just saying, okay, I've been hitting it hard for 7 days. I need some family time. I miss my kids. I miss my wife. I'm going to stay home tonight, even though, and it might drive you nuts a little later when your cell cam gets go off or whatever, but almost always I think that you need the break too. I mean, you get tired and in the early mornings and stuff.
I'm fortunate to go on more trips now.
Yeah.
And the trips let me come back and like chill. Like let my like adult hunting passion ADHD thing settle down, and then I go, all right, I gotta go, and ramp back up. But where do you guys see Nick and Drew here? And we can just keep looping. Where's like the one thing you'd give some advice on, like an issue if couples are listening, or just like a husband sent this to his wife, was like, honey, you gotta listen to this. Like, where's one thing you guys would attack or give some advice anywhere?
I just think that it's been such a good way for us to spend time together. And I've just really never not accepted that side of you of hunting and fishing. And so we may find an evening where neither one of us have anything going on, and I'll go get in the tree stand with him, or I'll go get in the boat with him. And yeah, that's not a traditional date, but I know that it's so important to him that I want to go do that with him because that's all he talks about. And so I want to experience it with him. But then on the same level, like he'll sit in the kitchen with me when I'm baking and cooking, and we'll have small talk. And so there's just a balance there. And so I feel like if you, as a wife, feel like you're griping at your husband about how much time he spends hunting, there's also other times that you can spend together. I
Go
guess.
do it with him.
Go do it with him. Yeah, it's so fun. It's been so fulfilling for me just being able to see that, because, not to cut you off, but being able to experience with you what you love and what Mason loves and what Kinsley enjoys doing with you. I feel like I open all of that up and get to experience what all of y'all are experiencing together, even though it's not something that I'm passionate about. And then it has a better understanding. I have a better understanding for you and what you love and what Mason loves and what Kinsley enjoys doing with you. And it's just really wholesome. And so,
yeah, I don't think there's any better way to spend family time than involving nature, whether it's hunting or just going on a hike or,
For sure,
meditating, whatever, your vice is. But for us, it's always been about family, and she's always been so understanding. Like when we first started dating, I'd be like sleeping in tents in Ohio for 2 weeks at a time on public land trying to kill something that didn't exist. And she'd be like, good luck.
I'd be like, did you catch one?
Yeah. Did you catch one? Like, she come into it with no understanding, but
kill something that didn't exist is so true. That's what we're all doing.
yeah, I'm after a 200 on public land,
Yeah.
But she, I don't know how I wouldn't say I'd want to give anybody advice other than, like, if you love each other and you really want the other one to enjoy their passion, it's not hard to accept that.
Yeah.
So, she has never, there's never been a time where I said, babe, I'm going hunting, and she'd be like, don't do that.
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
She'd be like, I support you. I want you to go be happy. And then I'm the same way with her. And so I think I don't want to sit on here and sound judgmental to other people and other people's relationships, but if your man's hunting and you got a problem with it, y'all might have other problems other than the hunting.
That's
Yes.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Back to Drew's point, it's a two-way street. So it's not just the man's problem. It's not, if you can't tolerate him hunting, it may not be your fault as the wife.
It's probably our fault, boys.
It might be because he doesn't listen to you and he doesn't spend time with you in the kitchen. There's more to this
Well, the
hunting
trust
conversation.
thing, I think, is
Yes,
probably
agree
the
with
root
you.
of all problems. Like, that's probably where all the issues really start. And that's probably a lot of the interaction I see when I can see the just dread in the wife or girlfriend's demeanor from just being at the show with him.
Oh, yeah.
It starts there. Like, if
It
you
does.
just don't want to be at the shows are
They're
fun.
just like dragging her along.
Yeah, and it's like, you're already not cut out for the job, honey. Like, it's a tough gig. Like, okay, you see all these like homestead wives and moms, which I'm a fan of. Like, shout out to you. Do you want the organic meat? Are you not supporting them just because you don't want them away from you? Do you selfishly just want him there? And is he good everywhere else? Then okay, then that's a real problem.
Well, the flip side of that is, look at the happiness that it brings him when he does harvest a big buck.
Right.
Like, that's such a genuine happiness. Like,
Your household's a lot
Unreal.
happier, right?
yes.
Well, the whole
Happy spouse, happy house.
Yeah.
the whole house celebrates, the whole family celebrates.
Yep.
We make sure that everybody's a part of it.
Yeah, the meals it provides, that's all we eat.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You
You're
know?
talking about the girlfriends with the dread on their face. It's like, I just want to say to them, just wait.
Yeah.
Wait till he kills that buck that he's been after all season.
Yeah.
Like, there's no greater joy to share with your man.
Yeah.
So be patient. Like,
Yeah, just support him,
Yeah.
hold out for him. You
Yeah.
know, that's the easy way to word it all. But it's like, there's always more. We can't really predict what other people are going to have in their. Because I kind of feel myself leaning that way of the conversations. Like, we'll never know what all couples have going on, so we can't really talk to it all. We can speak generically like what we got going on, but the trust thing, and I think just the despite of them and do. I think there's a lot of women and men on both sides that just don't want their spouse to have a good time somewhere without them, or they're just like, there's this like despise
true.
of whatever, and there's no reason behind it. It's just like selfishness.
But is she allowed to have fun?
That's the thing.
Well, then you got you two that do it all together.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Perfect.
or we don't like at home. You know, we don't hunt together ever. Like we're hunting different spots, different stands, whatever. And so sometimes it's hard. Like if I'm having a good season, I think he's outwardly happy for me, but sometimes like
This bitch.
or vice versa. Like it's hard. I'm genuinely happy for him, but then I'm frustrated that I'm having a crappy season. You know,
Right.
sometimes that's tough. But I was also thinking about like my mom growing up. You know, my mom never hunted, and whenever my dad would go on a hunting trip, me and my brothers, it was like mom made it a party. Like dad's out of town hunting, we're partying too. We're ordering pizza. We're
Yeah.
building forts. Like
that's
it
fun,
was.
yeah.
We're trashing the house, and then we got to clean it up before dad gets home. You know,
Yeah.
it was fun, and she made it fun. And then when dad comes home, like we're canning the venison, we're processing. You know, like
Yeah.
we're part of it. It's all a team. And then now that her kids are all grown and out of the house, when dad hunts, she's like, well, what do I do with my time now? You know? And so she's kind of like, I don't necessarily, maybe I want to hunt. Maybe I don't. I like being in nature, but I don't like being cold. So dad's like, well, we have box blinds. You can come sit with me. I'll bring a heater. And now, so this year we just put up a box blind
Almost
for
died
mom
last week.
Yeah. But like it's,
For Rachel's mom.
she's,
Anytime,
like-
Cindy, I got you.
Say, beautiful
Yep.
lady.
they've been together
bless
38 years, and like she's always been supportive, and she's never, my dad hunts more than anyone I know. And you know, God bless her. Like I had a good example growing up. I
Yeah,
think,
you
you know, it's like it's a way of life, and to provide that, and then we all pitch together to like prepare it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a full family
Yeah.
affair. It's like, man, that's all we eat.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
we're eating chicken breast.
Yeah.
You know, it's in everything. You know, it's like, can you imagine not having it? Like, as long as, you know, we've been together 15 years going on.
I really can't, no.
Like,
And,
it's
and
crazy.
Curt makes fun of me for being a granola hiker. And
No, I don't. Here's how I explain you. When I tell people who've never met you, I say, my wife's hippie enough. And then, or what I'll say is like, my wife's earthy.
enough.
Yeah.
Earthy. I like earthy.
Earthy's
I like
better.
that, yeah.
Earthy's
Yeah.
better. Hippie enough is like, hey, what kind of hippie?
Yeah.
But like when I start to get my mind rolling on mass production of beef and things like that, like I am so thankful that you're a hunter. And I will get in a tree stand again and watch that super cute doe walk past me and just enjoy it.
That
and,
happened.
And
She
then
didn't shoot it, and I was mad.
Still be
Sounds familiar, babe.
still be able to, you know, eat the deer that he provides. And for me, it's really important that Kurt's has high ethics in his hunting. I mean, he's shooting his bow every freaking day, getting ready for hunting season. And for people who don't understand hunting, I mean, you think about mass production of cows, animals, and then you think about the clean shot that you guys are making. You know, it's
These
I'm really
handsome
thankful
studs,
for-
is what I like to say, yes.
And then bring
including Rachel.
yeah.
And beautiful ladies. Yeah.
And then bringing all that home and fill in the freezer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so nice.
And it's
Yes.
fun, man.
Yeah.
And not to mention, it saves us a ton of money.
A ton.
Oh, yeah.
That's debatable.
I don't even know what ground beef costs
Yeah.
a pound. I literally don't.
It's expensive.
That's true.
What's going on? What's this
I need
bit
a new
going
bow.
on?
Well, if you get a new bow, I need a new bow.
Yeah, that's our problem. We do anything, it's twice.
That's another good
Yeah.
point to bring up on your guys' dynamic.
And-
because
and
when
a
we're
lot
getting
of-
bows, it's one bow.
And a lot of
It's
wives.
No,
two.
you got to kill their
It's
kids.
two.
Yeah.
Another dynamic.
Yeah,
Another layer to it. So
add kids to that and then watch the bill
okay,
go up.
let's start with Sam and I on this. One-sided conversation over. We go to you guys.
Well, I will say a lot of wives, I mean, especially if you are struggling financially or just trying to figure it out, you know, you're like on your way. And he's like, hey, babe, I really need this bow.
It's for my job.
No, I'm not saying we're in that situation, but I can understand, you know, it costs some money to get all the gear and all that stuff.
It
You know,
is.
it's not just
but
the
you
bow.
can also do it for like no money.
You can, but do people know that, and are they taking the time to research and do all the work that it takes?
The industry does not cater to that.
Sure, I mean,
but it's
marketing,
possible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, especially in Pennsylvania, I think, like the hunting heritage tradition is very deep. There are a lot of people that just go out like one day a year and they kill a deer. And they use the same gun that their granddaddy gave them.
Yeah.
And one box of ammo lasts them, 10 years.
Right.
Because they shoot it once. They
primers are rusty.
They don't even sight it in. They just shoot it once a year, kill a deer, and like it's still on close enough, And yeah, if you're doing it that way, sure, it saves you a ton of money. But the way we do it, it doesn't save us any money.
It will.
We save on
It
this
will.
process.
So when you guys what's the process of your guys' relationship when someone needs a new bow? How does it get brought up? Like Rachel needs a new bow.
Who is this, Curt? Me or Rachel that needs a new bow?
Let's,
Rachel needs a new one. She goes, I'm getting a new bow.
Oh,
Okay, that's how that goes.
okay.
And then she gets
tells
a new
you.
bow. Yeah.
Okay.
If I want one, I gotta, I'm thinking about getting a new bow. Really? What's wrong with your old one? Nothing. Oh, okay. And then I'll wait a week.
It's like a committee.
Yeah, it's
You
like
gotta,
wait a
You gotta
week.
set your case.
Let her get a couple glasses of wine in there. Hey, I've been thinking about getting a new bow.
You're looking
really
really
okay.
pretty.
What kind do you want now? And then she might ask a couple questions, and then by about conversation 5, I've almost got her talked into it. And then well, you should get a new one too. And that's how I really seal the deal. Is if I was, well, you should get one too, and then we both get them, but twice as expensive
Together.
on the bank account. Yeah.
So when you guys get new bows, you get them together?
No,
Not at the same time,
He's had
usually.
a lot more new bows than I have, but
Who's counting?
I would say that there aren't a lot of good women's bows out there, and I'm too short for the most part to shoot a man's bow.
Also a good point.
Yeah, I'm kind of limited in my options here.
Okay. So with Drew and Nick, what's your like? You need a new bow. The kids need a new bow. This is where this adds another dynamic because
It's the kids.
the kids are wanting bows.
This is easy. Babe, Mason needs a new bow. Kinsley needs a new bow. Okay. I'm going to get one while they're getting one. I guess that's all right. So I use the kids as a pawn.
package deal.
We get a discount if we buy 3.
Yeah.
Veteran move.
It's BOGO on bows this year, honey.
Hey, it's family time. It's family time. You're going to look at Mason and tell him he can't have a new bow?
That's not happening.
That's a good way to, okay.
Well, the other
That's a
side of
hack.
that is, okay, bows are expensive, guns are expensive, ammunition is expensive, but there's a lot of other hobbies out there that are way more expensive that don't fill your freezer.
Like team jerseys.
Oh, we go there. Wait, we're
Oh, you're doing that too.
Yeah, baseball.
Double
baseball.
whammy.
Baseball, yes.
Yeah,
A whole nother thing.
hey, so we make a hobby out of trying to make it pay for itself,
Yep.
which is a difficult hobby. But we're getting, we're making ground on that. But Drew's never been like, don't spend that money, because if it's family time, she's never had a budget. She don't care,
Yeah.
as long as we got groceries and I'm not spending our grocery money. Which, quick story, so we were talking today on the way over here. There was a time when the kids were young. I don't, babe, do you remember what year this was?
Mason was probably, it could have been 2007.
So this is how understanding she is. So let's just say it was 2007 and November's rolling around and we live in South Carolina at the time, and I'm like, babe, the rut's coming. I gotta go.
Like, what does that even mean?
And she's like, yeah. And
What are
she's
you
like,
talking about?
and she's like, babe, we ain't got no money. And I'm like,
Can you catch one?
yeah. So I'm like, well, what about that jar of coins over in the corner? She goes, you can take that. This is how broke we were. I literally took this giant thing of coins, like I guess it was a water jug, wasn't it, babe?
Like a Culligan jug or something?
Yeah, like a Culligan jug. It was like half full. I was like, well, there's got to be $200 or $300 in there,
Yeah.
And she would be like, go ahead.
Well, not only that, we stocked you up with vegetable soup.
Yeah, so she would prepare all my meals so I didn't have to spend money while I was out. So the time we're in South Carolina, I was traveling to Kansas or Missouri or Iowa, wherever I had a tag at the time. And I'll be like, okay, you guys got enough money in the bank where y'all will be fine, like groceries and all the bills are paid.
I love it.
I'll take this jug of coins and go hunt in Kansas. And that's literally what I did. In fact, that jug I'm talking about, I remember having like, I don't know, maybe $200 cash in my wallet. but I didn't want to dip into the family money.
The jug.
Yeah. No. Like
The
bank
bank
account.
Oh, okay.
So I took the jug and I'm like, come on, jug, you can get me through this. No, I need you to last me a week and a half, you know?
Yeah.
So I get like 4 days in.
So you just took the whole thing of change.
I literally put it in the passenger seat and put the seatbelt on. So I'm not lying, am I, babe?
You really did.
I love it.
I get like, I'm not even going to need this jug because I'm going to just eat on what she gave me. So anyways, I get out there and I'm like 4 days in. The hunt's not going good. They're on lockdown or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to have to go cash this jug in. So I roll up to this bank in Bethany, Missouri. Shout out to the women who worked at this bank if you can hear me. And it's like
they all died
I
after.
Walk in the door of the bank and I'm out of money. And I got this jug and I look at this lady and I'm like, can you cash this out for me? And like, I'll never forget the look on the lady's face. She's like, yeah, sure, we can help you. So me and like 3 ladies that work at the bank for like 2 hours are counting out all this cash, you know.
Oh my God.
And they sat there and did it with me. And I called her up and I was like, babe, I got enough to go another 4 days.
Like, I got $200.
Yeah. She's
Oh
like,
my God.
And Drew's like, good, I'm glad for you. And I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm the worst husband on the planet, you know.
But
They didn't have a coin counter? You could just dump that
No,
baby
this
in?
was before that. This
this
was
is 2007.
well, you're talking Bethany, Missouri, too.
Yeah.
So
Okay, yeah.
But
That's hilarious.
Helped me count it all. I think it was like $270. So then I'm like counting pennies and like
It's when gas was cheap.
Yes.
yeah,
But you
you could
brought
do
meat
it back
home.
then.
You
Yeah,
brought
so
meat
I ended up tagging out and coming home with meat and just feeling like a loser for doing that to my family, but the family was fine and she's like, hey, we're good, we got groceries, and then I'd go my ass back to work as quickly as possible and get
That's
her
a
some more money.
great story.
And I'm pretty sure that that's when we learned to process our own meat too, because it was like, well, we have all
Saving
this.
money. Saving
We
money.
have all this right here. I guess we got to figure out how to grind it. And it
Yeah.
was delicious. It was the best deer meat ever.
Yeah.
That's a great
That is
story.
so cool.
You brought home more groceries. You didn't have to buy ground beef. Like, I don't know what ground beef costs.
I don't either.
Couldn't tell
no.
ya.
I haven't had. You ever go eat at somebody else's house that like cooks with ground beef? And I like it. I think it tastes great. But to me, it tastes.
Smells funny.
It's
It
greasy
does
on my
smell
teeth.
funny.
So I have some friends that don't hunt and they love venison. They love and Kim. And so she's like, we buy this like, you know, grass-fed beef, like real expensive, lean beef. She's like, I'll trade you for some venison if you want. And I'm like, well, I'll just give you some venison, you
Yeah.
know, like, and she said, no. So she gave us some. And don't get me wrong, thanks, Kim, for giving it to us. But like, it was so greasy.
Yeah.
It's so greasy. And I'm like, I don't know. There's just something about, and I know like a good beef steak like is delicious. It is
So good. Yeah.
But like my body has become so accustomed to not having that fat in the meat that when I have it, like, sure, it might taste good, but my body doesn't feel good.
Feel like loaded
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. There's also something about like the meat that you harvested and you brought to the table, and you know, we process ours ourselves
It's a
too.
fulfillment.
It's like it tastes better because you earned it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a mental thing.
No, 100%. It does.
You're part of the process.
Part of the process.
Know what happened from the time you killed it till the time
Which-
it's on your table. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all, well, half the table's getting ready to go on an elk hunt right now, which is really exciting. You just got back from an elk hunt, but like the best tasting meat I've ever had in my life was the back straps, or actually it was tenderloins from my elk, first ever elk, on the side of the mountain in Montana the night I killed it over the fire, and I can still
always the best.
I can still taste it to this day. Like,
Right.
there's nothing more rewarding.
Well, that's like a good point too. Like, goes into kind of this relationship thing. Like, some of the best memories you'll have is like moments like that come few and far between. Not always.
Yeah.
Once a year if you're lucky. But like cooking it on the mountain in that
Yeah.
situation, like the scenario you just had with your son killing that his first bull elk with a bow
First bull, yep.
ever, right? So like that type of thing. Like, if you could have, did you guys cook that on the mountain?
No, but Drew cooked elk steaks for us as soon as we got home, and we've already experienced that.
See, it's amazing. Like, those types of things are so wholesome and honest and clean and just natural that you're kind of like robbing yourself of that, or your significant other, if you're like somehow protesting
But
anything
how do
has
we
to do with that.
How do we speak to the women, and it could be men too, but how do we speak to the women who just don't like it? There's
That's a good
so
point.
many, you know, my wife won't eat the meat.
I'm too harsh to probably
So then
say
you
anything.
can't sell that idea.
That's a great point, Sam.
To me, I think it's all meat care from the time you kill it till the time it's on your table. You drive around with it in the back of your truck for 2 weeks, showing every Tom, Dick, and Harry your buck
You're gonna have a
you
problem.
killed. It's not going to taste that good.
Okay, but there is some women.
It's a mental thing.
Yep.
It's a
Because they're
mental
like,
thing,
that's
yeah.
Bambi. I'm not eating Bambi. It's a mental thing.
God
I
damn you,
love
Walt
it.
Disney.
No, it is. I think it's a mental thing.
It 100% is.
And
but
that's
it's like,
fine if
where
you-
does it break? Because there is.
But if it's epic refusal of, I mean, we could get really
it's
deep
like
into this.
spite.
If it's just like refusal of it's Bambi, then stop and think about the cows that are hanging upside down at Tyson, like an hour away from us.
And there's
you know,
like
like
Or the
100 dudes
deer that
touching
are
them.
rotting on the road because they got hit by cars because there aren't enough hunters to manage the population, and now you get hit by a car, and now your car insurance goes up, and that deer goes to waste, and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Or how
It's-
about just know that your man like went out and harvested that
Yeah.
and brought it home to you
Yeah.
so that you could be fed.
right.
Suck
Yeah.
it up, like Drew said.
but okay, like
That's pretty much what she said, right?
I mean, kind of.
Be a woman.
Figure it out. Add some seasoning to that.
I just put
Yeah.
words in her mouth 100%.
I'll say that. Suck it up. Like,
Okay.
eat it. Like, your man just went out and provided for you. Like, have some respect and decency and figure out how to cook it. Like, talk to women like us that
Sure.
know how to cook it. Talk to men that know how to cook it. Like, you can make venison taste so good. We have figured it out. Like,
And
Well,
yeah,
it
so
is
if you've
good.
tried it before and you don't like it, try it again.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
Do it
try
a different way.
again.
It's how it's
3 more
prepared.
times, 4
Almost
more times.
always, it's how it's prepared. Almost always, I'll say with confidence. 'cause
Yes.
I've had deer meat cooked by other people who aren't as avid as hunters who don't cook it as often. I'm like, yo, bro,
I would hate it too.
you cook it like a half hour less. You know what I mean? Like, I got the elk steak thing down to a science. Now it's how you eat it. I like my steak rare, medium rare when it comes to wild game because you know where it's been. You don't have got 100 dudes in a packing plant touching it with dirty knives and you know all that stuff. But yeah, that's a good point. Also, too, you want to have your husband or significant other that killed a buck of his season have sex with them the same night. We're talking about the best night of that dude's year. Do him a favor. Make him feel like like daddy, the king of kings, man.
I don't think that's a good selling point.
That's a great selling point. Bet you
I
up,
like
Nick.
it, Kurt. Yep.
Come on, Andy.
Great
Some
point.
of the
Great.
most
I think
romantic.
all the wives just turned the podcast off.
I'm standing my
I'm
ground,
out.
boys. Back me up. Back me up.
I'm gonna back you up right now. Some of the most romantic nights of mine and Drew's life is when I return home from elk camp.
amen.
Two,
Amen.
2 weeks
sisters.
in the
Amen.
wilderness, pent up aggression,
Testosterone,
testosterone, manliness, smelling great. You know,
Yes.
Yeah.
And then after all that, probably the best sleep that both of you have had. You know, and
Yeah.
it's like your man's home. Everything's right in your world. He brought meat home. He succeeded. He conquered. And then, you know, that happened. And then you sleep.
Well, and so to touch on something Drew said earlier, she's like, well, celebrate what your man did. Well, I get more fulfillment out of watching her prepare something that I brought home. So, like, it's not that I went and did something great. We're doing it great as a family. And when I watch her prepare a meal for our family that I went out and cooked, so I'm like, you know, I don't think I did anything special. She did the hard work. Like, what I did was fun. And then I bring it home and she's making sacrifices with her time to enjoy something that I love, and I watch her do that, and it's like, oh,
and you have to.
that's my woman, you know. So it gives me another sense of fulfillment, and you know, my kids are watching this, and I just feel like everybody's learning the cycle of life, how a natural family is supposed to exist.
Yeah.
And you can't get that eating a burger wherever. I don't want to say any names because we're on a podcast, but if you're just getting a fast food burger somewhere, you don't get that same feeling from that. You're not watching like I watch my woman in her element in the kitchen. You know, women may say this is sexist.
Because, well, Drew loves to cook.
Right.
But I hated preparing deer meat in the beginning. But anyway.
Right. So like to watch.
How did you learn? Sorry to interrupt you. how did you learn to like it? Just practice?
The exact same things that I'm saying. Like, I loved him so much, and I loved watching him do, and it was like, okay, well, if he's bringing all of this to the table, I'm going to figure out how to make it taste good and feed our family, and that's, what you're saying is that's the part that you like.
Yeah, and so to watch her, do her part of it, it's like, geez, that's my woman, baby.
Look at that.
Yeah, God,
Get a bite of that.
look at that apron.
Just the apron.
Yeah.
And to answer you, we actually figured it out together.
Yeah.
I mean, we both
Yeah.
just kind of dug in and did a little bit of research, and
We have two.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, we've worked on it over
Because
the
we've been.
years.
How old were you guys when you guys met? This is a fun conversation. Maybe not. You don't have to say your age.
he
or
was
whatever.
27, I was 24.
Cool. Then how old were you guys, Rachel and Andy?
Probably what, 8 and 6?
That's not making weird.
No, we
When did Handy
met-
come into play?
we met when we were children.
After
we
18.
started dating at 30. Yeah, today's 7 years exactly. Happy anniversary.
Yeah.
And
Love it.
and
Cheers, guys.
I was 30 years old and I'm 37. Thank you. Cheers.
You guys.
Make
Cheers.
37 look good.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say, to your point, a burger at any restaurant is a burger. You pay for it, you eat it, it's delicious, it's gone. But every time we eat a burger at home or any meal from venison, when we process it, we label what deer it was or what animal it was. So I know when I'm cooking it, hey, remember that doe you killed?
Andy's dough.
Or whatever. And,
Daddies.
and it's like we relive.
Label it daddy and mommy.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Sorry. I'm
Way to ruin my point.
making this dark.
I love it.
But
Trying to make it lighthearted.
when we have dinner, we relive that hunt, and it's a meaningful dinner. It's I don't know. It's just a different experience.
No,
Yeah.
for sure. It's it provides a whole nother element to the family aspect, but I kind of like how we touched on that. I think in my head when I'm thinking about who's listening to this, of course, everyone's just going to listen, whatever that already listens to our stuff. But I'm picturing the relationships that what are all the toxic anti-hunting traits in a relationship. And I don't know if that's the right mindset. But the whole time I'm thinking, when you brought up the meat thing, which is a great topic because it's the other half of this whole thing. You go hunting, then what?
Yeah.
After, And there's a lot of women who just, and men even, don't hang around me, but the men out there, they just despise that type of lifestyle, whatever. I can't wrap my head around it, but it's good conversation. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's,
Well, and
I'm trying to think what we haven't covered that's a real thing.
well, to circle back to our kids being really young. So our oldest is 4 now, and she'll go to daycare and be like, "We ate mountain lion." My dad's going on an elk hunt, so I'll come to pick her up, and the daycare lady, they live in what we would be more of
In
a
the cities.
city
Yeah, we call it the
area,
cities.
so they are far removed from hunting, And so I'll come pick her up and she has a story for me, and I'm always like, oh God, what is she telling these kids? But it's
Dad has a neck tattoo and he kills mountain lions.
we ate it for dinner last night.
What the hell?
He's a real redneck.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is really cool to watch our kids enjoy a meal. If it's
For sure.
we bear, mountain lion, or deer, obviously, all the time, but they know. And they're
Yeah.
very young, Isla May, when she first started eating food, I remember she just loved meat and it was always the deer meat.
She told me today at our lunch date before you showed up that elk is her favorite.
Oh yeah.
Smart girl.
Yeah, elk meat's my favorite, Dad. You're going to kill a big elk next week.
Yeah.
She told me.
So I mean, you're
I hope you're right,
already.
honey.
They haven't been in the woods with you hunting. I mean, obviously they've been involved in the
Can I
other
brag on
hunting
our kid
aspects.
really fast?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just want to play this elk
it.
bugle.
She's so good.
We're trying to get her to go with us.
Oh, here.
Girl's
I know.
talented.
Here.
She is.
What was that? Oh, here. I got it on my. What was that?
That's inc-
Good job. Give me nuts. So that's Iome's elk bugle.
Really good.
I've elk hunted for 25 years, and that is
Yeah.
That's a really good bugle.
look, I'm not even saying that because that's your daughter. Like, that is excellent.
I know. I'm watching. I'm like, I need to keep you doing that so you like keep up with that. I'm like, I can't do that. I showed Todd that. Todd's like, what? I'm like, I don't, dude. We were just watching Elko 101 on YouTube, just getting pumped up, and she just like.
And mind you, she's the girliest of girls.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
somehow that happened.
We
to
keep
us,
that. I keep
and
that bugle tube in her room.
Yeah,
'cause she
it's
just
her
would
toy.
Do that, and then she just goes and gets it while we're watching it, and just.
And she always has, since she was super little. So
Yeah.
I think even though they haven't been in the woods with you yet, actually hunting, they've been involved in the food plots and the checking cams and
Yeah, for
eating it, obviously. So you really start to instill this lifestyle into the kids at a young age.
without them thinking about it. It's just like part of it's a lifestyle. That's the easiest.
And
way
to me, that's amazing. To other women or men, they may not like that.
I just know a
Like,
lot of dudes.
I would never let my daughter know about that.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
and
yeah,
that's
or
a
like be around
possibility.
dead deer. Like when we kill deer and we come back and put them in the truck or the side by side, I let the kids go in there and climb around on
One
them and
time,
check 'em
Isla
out.
May had a friend staying the night, and they're 4.
Oh yeah, I was kind of
And I
worried
was
about
like,
this.
Oh my gosh! Like he comes home with
Dead deer.
it was yours, right?
my
yeah,
big 8 I killed on the phone.
yeah. And her friends over, and they, like obviously Isla May and Clyde are up in the
were-
truck. They're holding the antlers, and this little girl wants to know, like, are her parents gonna like what's gonna happen? You
Yeah,
know?
city kid.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's like I don't know, if that's all right or not, but
I think it's
gonna have to be.
But on the same token, I was like, yeah, we'll introduce her a little bit to what this is like, and we do it tactfully. You're always
Yeah, it's always clean
yeah.
for sure. It's interesting. It's fun.
It is, yeah. We
I love
think
it.
so.
I'm hoping, if my kids don't hunt when they get older, that's fine. They don't have to, but I'm looking forward to what you're going through, Nick, with like going out with your boy on an elk hunt out west, like struggling through it, watch them kill a bull, that type of shit.
Well, so like Mason and Kinsley. So Kinsley's our middle daughter. Mason's our youngest child, our son. And then we have an oldest daughter, Kaylin. Kaylin could care less about hunting, but she enjoys it the same way we enjoy it. Like she loves to eat deer meat, elk meat.
Yeah, she's still part of it.
Yeah, she is just as much a part of it as the ones of us that go out and get it. Like what I was talking about with Drew in the kitchen earlier. Like it's the structure of your family communal existence. My vocabulary sucks, but
That's pretty damn good, dude.
right. So
I'm impressed.
like the entire, so even people who don't understand hunting or don't like hunting, if they were to ever experience, there's something down deep inside them that's going to be like, yeah, this feels pretty natural.
Well, it's our innate being, right? And I
Right.
think that's what's so cool about the hunting as a passion too.
Yep.
It's within all of us, really.
Yeah, there's something there
Don't
for.
come at me.
I agree with you. There's something there for everybody, and I don't think people realize that a lot. But Drew don't care anything about the taking, But she'll help me process the meat and what we've worked out over the years. The best way to make the meat taste good. Like we have people come over and they have no idea they were eating deer.
I love that.
And we've worked on it. We've screwed it up, and then we've done it for so long that we never have anybody say that it's not delicious. Mm-hmm. So when I hear people say or turn their nose up at venison, I'm like, yeah, you just ain't had it done right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the qualities that you just can't get better family time, in my opinion. And I think it taps into everybody's instinct, even when they don't realize it. Like the comfort they feel whenever, like what you were talking about, just being on the mountain and eating food that you took versus, like a factory situation, like how
It's different.
commercial food is taken. It's like, yeah, you're just not understanding. You're missing the point, And Drew's always been good about being open-minded to it as far as being a city girl, like confused at times, but trusted the process.
That's hilarious. That's so honest.
Very, very confused. Very confused. But, whenever we had young kids, I remember asking you, like, we're going to have Mason hunt, right? And you were like, only if he wants to.
That's right.
Only if he
Yeah.
wants to fish, and only if he wants to hunt. Like, I'm never going to force this on him. And I remember, like, if I put myself back then when they were kids and being married to such an outdoorsman and raising kids, I would have never known that it would have morphed into such a lifestyle for us. And I would tell any, wife, significant other that's listening, like, it's such a fulfilling, wholesome lifestyle, especially if you're with someone that you're thinking about having kids with and doing life with and having a family with. What it can turn into is just something so beautiful and earthy,
Yeah, right amount of hippie.
Right?
Same thing for the husbands. So I don't think this is a podcast where the husbands should force their wives to like this.
No, definitely not.
Right.
Yeah, so I would say to the husbands, like, we're doing this podcast kind of like giving women advice, but I would say to men, you got to be patient with your women too. Let her enjoy it the way she wants to enjoy it. You got to be open-minded, just like you're asking her to be open-minded.
Right.
So it's in my mind, it's a 50-50 two-way street, and don't just be like, see, babe, these women get it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
It takes time.
Road.
That will
It was a
backfire.
road.
Of
Yeah.
course.
It didn't come easy.
if you want your woman to get it, well, then you have a responsibility to show her
That's true.
what's good about it and what's not good about it.
Very fair,
And
yeah.
let her enjoy it the way she wants to enjoy it. And then be open-minded to that, because Drew don't want to hunt. I'm like, what? Why do you not want to shoot something?
But I do,
Yeah.
But I do want to be included.
That's it. Just has
Somehow
to be included.
Yes,
Yep.
just include your woman, include your
That's
significant
a
other.
great
somehow
way to put that.
Yeah.
Like the way you guys put, like a good example is like, about all the deer I'm hunting. Like
Yeah,
when I killed
right.
Creepy, that was the buck. That was like the first buck I had like history and followed and killed
Yeah,
and pulled off.
that's
Like
cool.
I called you and said I just shot Creepy. You knew about Creepy.
Yeah.
You're with your mom. Your mom knew about Creepy.
Yeah. Right.
Like buck I called spelled CRIPI
Yeah.
for the record. But
He
anyway,
was a little creepy.
yeah. But like you had no pursuit in that animal, but you knew the whole build up and how passionate I
will
was,
say-
and like you were included.
For me, and it sounds like the same trajectory for Drew, it was helpful for me to get into the woods. I did have the intention to hunt. Like I had a bow, I was sighted in. I like shooting my bow. I actually do enjoy that portion of it. And I will continue to do that. But for me, sitting in a tree stand, just having those experiences, I'm laughing because it's like, the first one I sat in was like horrifying.
We fed you the wolves pretty hard. And that's
Horrifying.
my fault.
I was so high up, and anyway, but those experiences, I learned through those that I don't want to shoot a deer, and but I also get walking behind him in the woods. You just learn what it's like. You learn he's not just out there trudging around texting you all night long on his phone. Like he can't have his phone out. Why? Well, I was there and I know why, so that has been helpful for me. So even if you don't have the intention of hunting, I still think I love sitting in nature, and I still enjoyed being out there, and just, it gives you a different understanding of what hunting's like and why you guys have to do all the preparing that you have to do,
Yeah.
and why you have to talk about it all the time, and why there's so much strategy that goes into it,
I think it's the same thing with like getting kids involved, like before maybe they're not ready to hunt, but like we don't have kids, but we take our niece and stuff, like walk through the woods, and you're saying, okay, see how the tops of this have been browsed off, or see how there's tracks here, or there's this rub on this tree, or this, like learning about this type of tree produces this type of nut or apple or whatever. And like they learn so much, and they put the pieces together and figure out like, yes, cool, I can figure this. It's like a puzzle, right? And I think that gets them a little bit more interested. But at least seeing it's not just like they're just going out in the woods and willy-nilly doing whatever, there's a method to it. And that's why it takes time, not just during deer season, but like that's why your boyfriend or your husband might be away during the summer also trying to learn and scout and do all these things. They're not just trying to get away from you. Like you have to do all these. It's all part of the process.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, here, sit in a tree stand and watch the sunrise, and you are like one with the animals around you, and they don't know you're there, and you can just hear the squirrels and hear the coyotes, and it's just a really cool experience. And I'm not interested in taking a deer, So
That's fair.
there's something to be said about just experiencing that and having that understanding too.
I never gave you grief about that. Well, I gave you a little bit of shit when you like passed
sure
it. I'm
did.
like, you passed that? But I didn't.
Not innocent. No.
I didn't like legitimately
No.
hound you about it. Like I wasn't like, what the hell, you know?
No,
like,
I could just take it as it was, and I never felt pressure that
it was more,
I couldn't.
It was more me questioning, like, you sure? Are you sure? Like you know, you had an opportunity, you did have an opportunity, you didn't want to shoot it. Mm-hmm. Come on. And then and then sitting with you, we had another opportunity on the lease we had a few years ago.
Yeah, she was entirely too close.
And, this doe was like eating.
I could see like the gray in her face. Of like,
she's eating, bulbs out of the food plot,
it was
like,
cool.
And I'm like, there you go, draw. No, she looks too young. I'm like, she's not too young. Shoot her.
That was another
She was too
concern
young.
I had. I had a huge concern that Curt would put me on to an immature animal knowing that I was new, and I didn't. I mean, I'm around a mature animal killer. I did not want to kill an immature animal. Mm-hmm. I did not want to kill a young buck, and it was like, I just think you've instilled it in me. But I also logistically understand that that's where you start, and that's okay. But for me, I was just so hesitant.
Yeah, after seeing that, I'm just like, all right, yeah, this isn't like the killing part of it's not for you.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah,
but you tried it. Like, I like that you tried. I like that you gave her the opportunity and you tried it and decided that for yourself. You know,
yeah,
like I think that there are guys out there that would never even want to try to take, because it's a hassle. It's like, I have to teach you something. I have to, like when we first started dating, he's like, honestly, I never thought I would date a hunter because I'm selfish with my time, and my time in the woods is my time in the woods. And I don't want to have to teach somebody something, but like I had hunted well before him, so he didn't really have to teach me. I mean, he taught me about bows a lot because he's worked on bows his whole life. But like, I think that there's a lot of men out there that wouldn't take the time. And so like, if your girlfriend or wife or whatever is remotely interested, like, do that, like just see, teach her, take her. Maybe it doesn't end up being anything, but at least you tried,
Well, it's going to work out to your benefit. Either she gets into hunting and you go together and it's great, or you go separately, but you guys share the same passion, or she gets the process, like in my case, and just doesn't care for the killing of it, but like understands the process, respects it, wants to cook meat, and it's all good.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the end of our time in this episode. Can keep the DeerCast. I try to keep them as lunch break friendly as possible for you guys working hard out there. Shout out to you. I did want to give a big shout out this episode. We're going to dedicate to Louise Shockey. Rest in peace. We're thinking about the Shockey family. They are like the epitome of what a hunting couple is. I think in all of our opinion, they are like the OG hunting couple. Hunting royalty. She is one of the like iconic voices actually of my childhood and like consuming hunting content. Like, her voice in the Shockey hunting show and like what they represent and all that. So us sitting here doing like a couple style hunting podcast, we wanted to dedicate this episode to her. Whether or not she would have, I just wonder what she would have said. But we probably could have learned some shit. What a bad lady right there. Like bad. I mean, bad as in good.
Boss.
A boss babe for real. Like
the real life one.
The real life one. So thinking about the Shockey family, I think this is a perfect episode to kind of like give them a shout out on, they instilled like the whole hunting lifestyle to the craziest degree.
Yeah.
I do appreciate you guys joining really me on this whole thing, but being here together and spending time with you guys has been a blast. So thank you so much. A lot of fun. Any thoughts on the episode? How'd you guys feel about it?
I thought it went pretty well. I didn't think I got in any trouble, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we're pretty easy on each other, I guess.
Yeah, I'll do a Wives podcast soon.
Yeah, no doubt.
What we should do is post-season instead of pre-season. I think
we'll do a check-in.
Tensions will be a little higher.
We'll do a check-in.
Let me get on November 17th, and I'll tell you how I feel.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Seeing my husband in 2 weeks.
October, November, tough.
I told my boss. I told Todd today, just joking around.
Good thing Todd's a homie.
He said, one of my coworkers said, make sure you have some good advice for the hunters out there. I'm like, I have none of that, but I have advice as a wife, just expectations are on the floor. Because Todd said, well, he has you trained well. It's like, well, no, I know what to expect now,
You're seasoned.
Well, for us, preseason's worse because I'm gone. Like last night, I was on the tractor fertilizing until 1:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
I'm wearing the same clothes for 3 days.
Hell yeah.
So,
He's so respectful. He's like, I wear the same clothes so that you don't have to do as much laundry.
Right.
And I'm like, you don't have to do
Driving
that.
the tractor is like my favorite. You should learn to drive the tractor. It's so fun
I
and
will.
therapeutic.
Amen.
Drive the
Amen.
tractor.
Okay.
It's
We
the
call
best.
tractor therapy.
Listen,
Tractor
don't
therapy.
unlock our code.
Yes.
You're ruining it.
No, that's part of the best part. I actually love like food plot season, and driving the tractor is so much fun.
Yeah.
I'll pull up
Yeah.
in front of the house and like start revving it up until she looks out the window, and I'll be like, "Hey, babe, you see my tractor?"
Oh my gosh, you're so hot.
I do
You're
that.
so hot.
All the time.
Well,
Hell yeah.
For the record, there's no preseason, season,
Yeah.
postseason. It's
life.
year round, and
Yes.
I live for it, and I love it. And I'm so thankful to be married to a real man.
That's
that
right.
experienced
Real man. Hey, I like that.
that introduced me to all this because it's been extremely fulfilling. So,
You want a man that can kill some stuff for you and build a fire.
amen.
Yeah, I don't want a man who can't
And also
protect me.
break someone's skull if they need to, right? Come on, lady.
Yeah,
If we need to, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Randy at the MFA yesterday. I almost cracked his skull.
Got it coming, buddy.
Over some damn fertilizer, man.
That's right, Randy. That's right, Randy.
You got it coming, Randy. Watch your ass.
Hey, we have a target buck this year named Randy. Oh, we're gonna kill him just for you
Yeah.
now.
He's going down.
Please send a picture.
Let me
Please.
know when he's dead.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Well, thank you guys. Drew, where can people order baked goods from you? All your goodies?
Yes.
Well, plug it away, girl.
No.
Best cinnamon rolls.
It's local. Local.
He's
local.
got a lot of followers.
Okay.
Really good.
Local only. Cinnamon rolls and chocolate chips. The best around. The best
Well, how can
around.
people? Where do they? Facebook page.
Facebook page. Local to Northern Missouri.
Get
They're the
shouted
best,
out.
right?
They
Give
are
us
the
a
best.
plug. Where do
They're the best.
they are really good cinnamon
Drew
rolls.
Morris on Facebook. I don't know. Or is it Mason and Nick Morris _ DOD on Instagram? Because my husband at 46 years old just now got
I'm on the internet.
on the Instagram. And so you
Yep.
can order through him if you want.
Yep. Mason and Nick Morris _ DOD.
I don't like this idea.
I like it. Give him a shout out. He needs it.
I
Follow him
support
up.
you,
A
babe.
follower.
Just like you support me, I support
We'll
you.
put Instagram links in the episode description as well as Rachael and Andy's. You guys need a couple's Instagram.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, take care of her.
Okay, here's
Team
the, when,
Bushak.
Also, okay, whenever I see someone with a couple's Instagram, someone got in big trouble. Probably someone cheated.
We should probably start a new podcast now.
All
A lot to
right.
say about that.
Addition 2. Rachel goes off. on
Joint
couple-
accounts.
Joint accounts are unless it's with your son. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It's different.
That's beautiful. Well, guys, thank you so much. This was fun. Sam, how do you feel about me? Rachel's on the phone causing noise.
I feel
I'm sorry.
about you. I feel great.
Okay, just checking.
I thought it was
My
great.
opinions
This is
haven't
fun.
changed.
I think she's extremely supportive.
All right.
100%.
Yep. Men support your women. Women
I
support
think
your
we
men.
all got really lucky.
Oh,
Yeah,
Found
that's
the right
right.
ladies.
we all did.
We did.
Hey, you know what the saying as we close this podcast out? You can't kill big bucks if your wife sucks. You know what to do. Go shoot a giant. We love you. Thank you for 100 episodes. See you next week.